Good evening and welcome to OptionsTender. It's a little bit later than usual. We're on the road and I apologize for that. We're back from vacation and pretty excited to get moving on with a lot more detail for you guys and for the members. We have a lot to go through over in the Discord. Remember, we have brand new Cheddar flow data for the Discord. So if you want to join, it's 99 cents a month. It's nothing. It's just to support the YouTube channel. And it comes with that great feature there. We also do options expected moves for the week. That's all included. Great information. Even if you don't specifically pay attention to my work, and if you want to be in there with other traders that are much like yourself trading or investing, there's a lot of great tools and education in there. It's not all about me. It's about the environment of giving you guys the best chance here, and of course in with other traders. I follow other people. I know that you guys follow other people. It's fantastic. So let's jump into it. We're going to do a pretty brief here channel, and we'll get along. We'll start tomorrow with a little bit more duration, and the videos might start getting a little bit longer if you guys want me to go through some of the other indices. But overall, we want to be thorough on SPX and SPY and give what we think is happening next. So here's SPX with a naked chart here first. And we're still in this big range from, I believe, October 10th. And what I want to warn people, just a warning, I'm not saying this is going to happen, is once we had our high here and we clearly had rejection off of a wedge top, we've talked about it over and over, and we're starting an equilibrium. We're inside a range here, and we've been there for quite some time now. When that happens, for example, I know that this is more than 1 day candle. We're in some range here, and you see the price action pop up and then drop. You might argue, hey, we're about to make a breakout here. We're breaking out. We're going negative, okay? And it fake break and broke down. But you did have a triangle right in there, okay? If you can see that triangle, boom, boom, equilibrium, broke out from that equilibrium, incremental new high, and broke down. So just be aware of that. And I'm not saying if it does break out from this triangle, and we do have another triangle that it clearly broke out from, but don't be surprised if at that point we don't fail from there. Okay, and let me go ahead and give you some additional information. We talked about this in the Discord. I was going back to 2019, and I wanted to look at 2018 as well. I thought this was a good spot here where we had broken down from basically an equilibrium, broke down from it after moved down. So that wasn't exactly what I was looking for. This is what I ended up looking at. We can pull up so just this equilibrium here. We had this this triangle, all right? We were looking to break down as a bear flag, okay? And we were supposed to break down like this, all right? And then price action broke out, testing the highs, making a lower high. And so we had this equilibrium form. Now, this is a larger scale of what's happening right now. But either, I'm not saying it's going to break out or break down. But once it does move from that range play, just be aware of what could happen. It can continue to break out. And we certainly have targets to the upside. We talked about those in the last video. And it could break down, and if it breaks down, it's going to be a little bit more negative than probably most people think. But if we continue to this move higher, it's quite possible. I'll show you on the lower time frame what this could look like. And so here's a point of view where we might chop around here in this triangle a little bit more. Again, this could break straight down from here, and it could go straight up from this point. But we have to be aware of all these scenarios so we can react to it. This isn't necessarily a prediction on what's going to happen, because if you do that, then you could get yourself caught. Now, you certainly can trade ahead of time, and we've been in some swings and you have to protect your accounts. This hasn't broken down. We had a bear flag triangle, likely to break down. Didn't. It popped up here, but it's making a lower high so far, and we'll see what happens next. Okay, so with that said, we have our traditional technical analysis. We have a bearish rising wedge. We had a sharp one up here, broke down, made one that's a little bit more sideways. There's actually two in there. And does it happen again? We shall see. That's what we're trying to determine. So let's go ahead and look at the trend. Here's our trend indicator with our MACD, our smart MACD on the bottom. We had negative divergence going through this whole thing, and we did get a sharp sell-off, and we caused some damage, but we're starting to repair. We're going sideways. We're holding on to that 20. So we had this. Here's a typical buy spot. And is this going to fail tomorrow? I don't know that. So you have your buy right here in this green candle. You had buy sells. We were chopping around for a while. And this last one was a buy, and we were on top of that 20 moving average. Now you can wait for the next day for confirmation. Clearly you can't trade that right now. You can on futures, but here would be a buying opportunity if you're bullish. I'm not bullish. I'm not looking for that. But you could certainly, with any of these plays here, buy there and then just take off for you. So it's an objective buy. And at the same note, we're at resistance. So it's just a really tough spot. So maybe keep your positions small or manage them properly. And so with your regular moving averages here, you have your 8 EMA and your 20. They're going sideways, so it's kind of representing that price action is still sideways, but we are neutral to bullish on this. We're above the 8 EMA and the 20. We're holding on to it. We closed right on it. And again, I'm not taking this. I added on some call protection at our point here. And again, I'll show you on SPY on the 65 because I want to show you exactly where we added on this call protection. It could fall from here, but it could break out. I know that's not giving you guys, I'm probably going to see some comments saying, oh, great, you covered both sides. You're going to break up or you're going to break down. This, again, it's not a prediction. It's just giving you scenarios so you can react to it. All right, so we had our traditional look there. Let's bring it back. Moving averages. And that 50 moving average, the blue one, that's a good spot. We haven't tested that yet. Technically right here where we pulled back at it, but this is the first time we're testing it pretty much since this move, okay? And so that's not bearish. I mean, I would expect if a more bullish scenario would be to trade below there, get a spike, a liquidation, and continue higher, a liquidation and higher, not just test it because of all the buildup of divergences and such. So, but we'll see. All right, McClellan oscillator. So this has been showing a little bit of strength, and today it really didn't add much to it. So we're kind of bending back down, and let's see if we continue to move lower. Will we get a new high if we make a new high here? Oh, I mean, that's certainly what you want to expect. Let's pull up the summation index. We haven't looked at that in a while. So the MCC, and this is the accumulation of daily information from there. So, and this gives us a good picture of what's happening. We had that negative divergence with breadth here. So breadth was getting weaker. You had the large cap stocks that were holding things up. All the way up here, right there at the top, and we get weaker and weaker. So I do think this will cycle through, but we're at that bull bear pivot. So there's nothing saying that this can't start to get stronger and stronger and make new highs. You know, that's just, it can do it. We're not at extremes. We're right at neutral, right in between. So we need to make a decision. All right. So I guess the whole point of this conversation is that we're at a neutral stance. And what I tell traders in the Discord, I say we're at an equilibrium. You can call it a triangle. We can form a triangle. We can do all these things. But the technicality of it is it's not an A, B, C, D, E. It's so far, it's just an equilibrium. We have one bar. We're inside it. We're in a range. and the price action's getting tighter. So, okay. So with that said, here's our MACD, and we have that divergence here. If we make a new high, if we make a new brand new high here, let's see if we get that negative divergence. And that would be kind of the situation if it can't break out with some conviction, just like this top here, you're going to get that negative divergence. You could fail. All right. And inside of this, I make sure you stick around. I want to show you what's inside that triangle. Again, if you break down from a certain point, then that could lead to more sell-off. All right, and here we're going to keep an eye on the slow stoke. No sell signal yet. It's starting to look like it wants to roll over, but we're not there yet. And the histogram's getting tighter here. That means that the blue leader line is testing the MACD line, but so we don't have a bull cross yet. This could easily fail and continue to move further down all the way and cycle lower. So we have the DMARC. All right, so we have that 9 count here. We don't have anything else yet. We have a 5 count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of there. And we're just back testing this wedge so far. So nothing, I'm still looking at this as a possible bear flag, and I'll show you what that looks like on the 65. All right, let's go to SPY. Let's just peek at this money flow index. Pull up the divergences. And we're still getting distribution. So even with the closes here, we're seeing the volume drop into this move higher. Okay, so that's distribution. There's nothing else I can say about that. We're not seeing any strength there. Bollinger Band's getting really, really tight. All right, it started to get tight here. We reached both ranges of it. Now let's see what happens. Maybe we touch that top range and push on that Bollinger Band, get that slight new bearish divergence on that new top, and get a overbought condition with negative divergence, and we sell off from there. So again, this could be a fake break. We're gonna have to watch each and every move that happens here. Unless, in my opinion, we break down. Once we break down from this candle, we're gonna have a nice confirmation. I think we'll test some lows, and we've been talking about those lows for quite some time. That's what I'm anticipating. Not afraid to say it. Been saying it over and over. I was wrong, and most of this trip up here. So I mean, we got some moves, and anyway, we're looking at the volume nodes. So if we start to break down from, I'm not going to look at I don't have it set up correctly. Not with the 10-year. I expanded here we go. I'll just do it. So when you expand those 10 years, it brings everything out. So if I bring it back to 2, then you have the volume right here. So we're creating a lot of volume with this triangle, a lot of trade inside here. So we're creating a shelf, and we're kind of on that shelf right now. So let's see. Again, if we move up to this top shelf, that's exactly where we rejected off of before. And then you want to see price action get above that if you're going to be bullish. And then the sky's the limit if you can get above all-time highs and stay and keep above it. All right, so Elliott oscillator still in the positive. If we do see a new high here, we'll likely see a divergence there. Moving over to the VIX. And again, this VIX is really, really doing well for us. Let's pull on the moving averages. Now, this is possibly an inverse hammer after the move here. So in other words, starting to make a higher low structure. Now, it does look negative, and it's rejecting off of there the first time. But keep in mind, we're in an uptrend. We have a weekly. I'm not showing that here. I showed that in the Discord. And we have a daily cycle that are aligning together. And we have the daily cycle lows that already, you hit the daily ideal low at this candle. And then in the window still, we seem to have made a low here. And we're above that 20. Now, if this starts to continue lower and breaking down, then clearly we have a lot of volume right in here where we're congested. Basically, we're just back testing this level. All right. If you look at 17 right here, you can see all of the wicks. And actually, I can but we'll see what holds on. That's where we held on this time, 17. You see all the wicks that are, all the price action that was rejected there. So 17, 19, 22, all of those matter. And then you have the moving averages down here, but we're in a setup to where we can continue to move higher, but we're going to have to get back above this 200 and the 8 EMA. But I'm telling you, inside of this bar, it appears that we have a structure up and a higher low, and we could continue this as soon as tomorrow or into Friday. Let's go to SPX and the 65. Let's do that first and just show you. This is now you're going to see a discrepancy from the options expected moves here. We have a 200-point range from Friday, and you'll see that SPY is actually a little bit more conservative. And I'm not sure what caused that when I used the algorithms, but it seemed to have changed. Because I do these on SPX, I do these manually according to the options market. But neither here nor there. I do have an options expected move tutorial if you want to check that out in the description below. But this is exactly what I wanted to show you. Let me go down to the 65, like I said. Here is the equilibrium that we had earlier, and that was a breakout, clearly broke out, not to new highs, but is back testing. That's a typical trade. You definitely in Elliott waves, you create all these triangles, whether they're up or down, wedges, and you back test them. You test them. You want to see what happens from that point. So far, we have a bounce. But if you're, that's the bullish look. If you're bearish, you have a bear flag. All right, we rejected off the top of there a couple times. It's a valid trend line. And even with the bear flag, just like SMH, and I'll show you that as well before we go through the indices, you have this rising wedge, or bear flag in this case, because we're not above the highs. This could touch up new highs and peak above and fail from there. All right, so you have this bearish rising wedge, but we call it a bear flag when it's underneath the high. All right, and if you're an Elliott wave, you're going to look at this if you're bullish as a wave 4, and whatever price action happens next. This could be an ending diagonal where you have a 3-wave move up. Even right here, you have a 3-wave move up. It's an ABC, right? That's where we thought the wedge, or that's where we thought our bear flag ended. And into our retracements, and we thought it would break down from there. Now, clearly that didn't happen. We made new highs. So it could be more complex. ABC, higher, and then breakdown. That's bearish. And then you have a 1-2 here. So in other words, I know I'm confusing people right now. You have a 1-2 with an ABC and a 1-2. And then on a lower degree, 1-2, and this breaks down. That's simple as I can make that. If you're bullish, this was a wave 4, and maybe an ABC into a 1, ABC into 2, ABC into 3, 4, and so on and so forth. And that can extend. So there's different ways you can count it, but you make new highs. Okay, but these are 3-wave moves. There's no doubt about that, unless you're really starting to nest and we're gonna rip. That could be a 1-2, 1-2. 1-2, and we're off to 7,000 directly from here. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let me go over to SMH. On the Discord, we again showed a lot of this stuff. We have a channel that's a daily time frame, daily board, but you see the gist of it. A channel was formed and we back tested that. Here's the board for the 65-minute. We had this bearish rising wedge, just like I was talking about. It's not considered a bear flag because we made new highs here, but you see how we made an increment new high. All right, and now we broke down from it, and here's the big test. And this is supposed to be a leader here, and we were definitely leading the market to the downside. So was this a leading diagonal? Was this a diagonal that ended here? And we have instead of a wave 5, now we have a wave 1 into a 3-wave move in a wave 2. So if we make new highs, it's likely we're in a wave 3 and then 4 and 5. Okay. And so if you take your retracement tool, which we did on our other board, we have boards directly for this, we're at a 1-2 bull setup. Okay. So I have to keep that in mind. This could easily be the beginning, an impulse 1. We're getting a wave 2, and this continues lower 3, 4, 5. But that's where we're at. We're at this neutral point to where the bulls and the bears are fighting. We're at a 1-2 setup for the bulls, and we're at a possible, if you might have another 4-5 to get to the options expected move. I only see a possible 3 waves, but you have another possible wave 4 in here. It's all speculative. All right, so if we do make a new low, we still could get that bounce. So again, bull 1-2 setup and higher. Bear, brand new high here, rejected impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So that's why it's always very difficult to tell where the market's at. You always have 2 sides. You have 2 stories. But this made divergences in higher time frames as well. So it's very difficult for me to describe this as super bullish unless we start to make new highs. All right, going over to SPY, we can look at some of these indicators, and then I'll show you a couple counts. Here's a traditional look. All right, so here's another thing. I said, all right, we're back testing here. We rejected off of this, again, this was in the Discord. We rejected off of this high here. I said, hey, this is a possible scenario. If we keep leading above this moving average to 200 on this time frame, 200 moving average, we could create an ascending triangle if we want to. We'll just keep an eye on that. We closed the gap. We back tested that triangle there. Let's see what happens with this price action. Now, if we break down from here, we're starting to get more bearish. Probabilities are, especially since we have a channel right here, that we're going to go much slower. And we do have a measured move here and brings us down to 635. Again, we talk about these over and over. 635 is here, and then we have another low around 620 that 2 targets that we're looking for. But I want to keep this in mind. Ascending triangles, they don't always break out. They can fail. So you can look at this in many different ways, and I try to put all those ways out there. I know you guys in this public video don't always get to see these different scenarios, so it's real easy to say, oh, well, he's just always wrong. So I give the scenarios. I trade what I feel, but you have to trade for yourself, okay? Now, here's your trend. We're actually underneath, okay? The trend is negative. We have a lower high here. Although we are in an equilibrium, we have higher highs. We're underneath that 20 moving average so far. Do we reject it going into tomorrow? We shall see. We had negative divergence on the smart MACD, and that did play out with that sharp move here. So we're going to see we're positive on the MACD so far. We'll see. We're back at just above that 0 line. We're in the bullish territory. So maybe we start to break this ascending triangle. There's your moving averages. They're going sideways, meaning price action is getting tight. There's your MACD oversold here. So now that we're getting a bounce, we're back to neutral. This could be a tell sign. By the way, we did have negative divergence here as well in the near term. So we did take that short on there. We took it on the Qs, not actually on SPY. But we had that oversold, and we're oversold bounce here. So again, this could play back and forth for a while. Maybe we go back to the RSI and get overbought tomorrow. But that's the strength. Are we just weak? Are we just going to get weaker? That's a possibility. Now, slow stoke is starting to curl up. All right. And the MACD is in bullish territory, and it's testing that 0 line. We had the bear cross. Now we're holding on into that bull territory. So this, I'm telling you, I feel like, even though I'm bearish, if this does break out, I'm feeling a fake break just waiting to happen. And if that's the case, then we're going to count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ending diagonal, and then we break down from there. And either way, we'll leave this ascending triangle up there. because if we get above this level and we break back into it, that's going to be very bearish. Okay. But these seem to be pointing at that breakout. All right. Again, I have hedges on, and that's it. I'm completely net bearish in my options portfolio. So I'm just being transparent with you. All right. D-Mark. And I didn't have a chance to look at any of this while I was driving. I drove 7 hours here, so I'm doing this on the fly with you. All right. And so we did see this yesterday. We were going into a 9-count sell signal, and then we got that negative divergence with just a slight high, and that was a failure there. So that's where we took profit on some of our shorter term options. And so with that said, sorry, we have a 7-count here. Maybe something happens where we get a 9-count exhaustion, but there's no setup yet. Money flow. And we did oscillate pretty much to the downside. Even if we make one more little downside, that could be an over sold area distribution, but they could end up being accumulation on this lower time frame. So just keep an eye on that. Again, this is kind of giving us clues here. We might go a little bit higher. Don't have to. Bollinger Band starting to come back in. Hit off the bottom, oversold. That's a buy signal. That's where we put in our hedges today. I was actually at the gas station when I put these hedges on. I had that. I had looked at it. Some alerts were setting off. Stopped, get some gas. Saw where we were. I didn't have Bollinger Bands up, but I saw that we were coming back to this triangle. That by itself is a setup, you guys. Some people, they only trade triangles. Where are we at? Money flow, Bollinger Band, shelves. We don't need to look at Elliott Oscillator. That was in a negative. It went back positive here. Let's see. We're back testing. Let's see if we stay in this positive area tomorrow. Okay. Any indicators? Let me go to the VIX while we think about. I think tomorrow we're getting. I don't know what the shutdown, if we're getting the employment data, the unemployment data, I should say. So something else that I was pointing out, since we are getting that daily cycle low here, this very well could be very similar. And there's a couple instances behind here. I'm not just getting this recency bias here, but we had a sharp move to the upside and had a sharp move, not as fast, but nevertheless, a sharp move to the downside, broke out from it, and made some market structure and started really moving there. So with the daily and the weekly starting to align, that's a possibility that this could happen. Now, we are on the bottom edge of this options expected move. The VIX, I don't know, when things get moving, it can hit both ends. It did it last week as well. So can we, we gapped up here. The options expected move to the downside. Can we hit the upside? So we had this on Monday, broke down to the options expected move. Can we set a higher low and make the upper edge plus more and plus more if it really starts to move? But we started to close that gap, and we may have, looks like it, maybe a penny or so. Do we close this gap first? I guess that's something to pay attention to. I don't think we have anything else to look out for. Let's see. I'll just go here. So I don't think we have anything else to look out for tomorrow. The job claims and the home sales, CPI delayed. So maybe we get a little bit of data tomorrow. But other than that, we just have to watch out for. Sorry, I got some sports stuff up there. Patreon. So that's it, you guys. That's what I got for you. So thanks for joining us here at OptionsTender. Have a wonderful day. Again, if you're if you join us in the Patreon, I'm trying to sift people into YouTube. Most people have it. It's cheaper to do it that way, but you're welcome to stay in Patreon. I appreciate those of you, and I know you're there, who Invictus Soul, I believe, not to name names, are in both programs, and that's just because you're supporting me so much. So I really appreciate all you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I want to keep making these videos and make that Discord a really good trading platform for you guys to learn. Maybe you're more advanced than me. I'm not the greatest trader out there. I do this for a living, and I hope that I'm able to help. But if you're more advanced, hopefully you guys can help teach some of those traders that are in the Discord as well, the novice ones. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.